and welcome to another episode of Casual Learning. I'm your host, John Bannan. What's the deal with management by intimidation? Management by intimidation goes by other names, such as slave driving, or abuse, or the old sweatshop. I have an undergraduate degree in business management from the #1 undergraduate business college in the United States. And I took many classes on management, including managing people. And I never once took a class that discussed management by intimidation. Not once. Did I miss a class? Was I skipping class? I didn't skip any of my classes. This is not an enlightened view of management. This is not management that is taught in our colleges and universities. This is not management for the intelligent or the insightful or, frankly, for people who care about other people. This is the sort of management you get from business owners, bosses, supervisors, who are frankly terribly uneducated on the issue of how to manage people, and are frankly morally bankrupt. You got to be morally bankrupt to do this, because this violates the golden rule. Treat others as you would have them treat you. Well, imagine. Would you like to be intimidated by other people? Of course not. So this is immoral. Fundamentally, it's an immoral practice. But it's a very widespread practice, especially in the private sector, where there aren't unions, for instance, to protect against a lot of this intimidation by supervisors, bosses, and company owners. Why do these guys do this? Very simple. Intimidation can get people to work longer hours, work harder, be more responsive to the bosses, the supervisors, the owners. They try to create an atmosphere in the business where everybody's in fear or being intimidated. So there's a palpable sense of uneasiness in the entire work environment, a palpable sense of fear. And these supervisors, bosses, and company owners, they do this on purpose. They know what they're doing. They want to create. They're trying to actually create that sort of tense, stressful atmosphere because they know that it'll get their employees to work harder, and because of that, ultimately the owner makes more money, and that's why they do it. It's about money. This is it. This is the reason. They may, ultimately they may say, well, you have to compete and give value, and you have to compete in the market, blah, blah. Ultimately, though, the people who are instilling this sort of environment, they're making more money because of it. And they don't care about the employees. They're just a cog in their money-making machine. And when a cog burns out, throw it out, you get a new cog. They don't care. It's ultimately about money, and they do it on purpose. Absolutely do it on purpose. So some of these supervisors, higher level corporate officials, managers, even the owners, they're purposely trying to create this environment of stress and fear in order to get their employees to work hard and be more responsive and cost less. If they can get you to work more hours, let's say they push you, intimidate you into working 24/7, the cost of their labor goes down because they don't have to hire more people because they have you to do the work of more than one person. So their costs are cheaper and they make more money as a result. It's very simple, very self-interested, very immoral and wrong, and very bad behavior, but it's about the money, and a lot of people don't care about being an immoral, rotten person if they're making the bucks. They don't care. So, you may find this. This is essentially, this is the idea that a manager or a supervisor or an owner may have, that their job, essentially, with their employees is to whip them, basically. That's how they view management. Well, ask them, well, what does a manager do? They whip people. Work harder, Jones. Get that project done by next week, Tracy. That's what they think management is, as opposed to the enlightened view of what management is, the legitimate view, which is you got to be open and honest with your employees and give them a sense of ownership in the business and evaluate them and be fair in that and promote them and give them regular raises, or at least be somewhat open so they understand what's going on in the business. That's not what these guys think. These guys think that a business is basically a Viking warship, and they're in the back of the ship, and the employees are in the front, and they're rowing. They're rowing this Viking warship, and they think their job, the manager's job, is to stand in the back of the boat and whip people. To get those rowers to row faster. So this ship can go faster and make more money for the owner or the shareholders. That's how they view management. It's a whipping mentality. And if they can whip you into submission and get you to do more work than you fairly ought to do, or to take less of a fair wage, that's what they're going to do. It's a shame, but you will run into this a lot, unfortunately. And they do it on purpose. You should be clear about that. They know what they're doing, and they know they're doing this on purpose. You may not know that that's what they're doing, but that's what they're doing. You get whipped a couple times, wow, that really hurt. Then you get very responsive because when the guy with the whip tells you to do something, you're like, oh, absolutely, I'll do it right now, because you don't want to get whipped again. They know this, so that's what they're doing, and that only works if everybody's has fear and intimidation. And so, how do they create this atmosphere of stress and intimidation? Well, generally, they just, any opportunity they have to create fear in their employees, they will do that. The biggest fear is fear of losing your job. So they may fire people every once in a while just to set an example in the work environment and get everybody else fearful. Hey, you don't do that. You don't do what I tell you to do, you're going to get fired, just like Jones did down the hall last week. They do this on purpose. You'll see this because some businesses, it's a sweatshop, or has a revolving door of people quitting or getting fired and new people coming in. And the owners don't care. This is all about them making money. So they love it when employees work 24/7. Their idea is, you should be a company man. All that really means is you do everything they say, and you work 24/7 for them, and You know, um, they don't care about your family or your personal life or your kids or your wife. They don't care about any of that. They just care about this. This. That's all they care about. So, if you're working 24/7 for one of these slave drivers, that can have a terrible effect on your marriage or your children. You may end up divorced. Or your children, they don't even know who you are because they've rarely seen you because you leave early in the morning, you come back late at night, work on the weekends. Maybe there's a little bit of quality time, but quality time doesn't make up for parenting. It just doesn't. And you can have all sorts of problems in your personal life because of these slave drivers, because you're spending all your time working for them, for their business, and it's because you're in a state of fear or intimidation, stress. You know, stress. Stress is a known cause of lot of health problems. Stress can cause a mental illness. It can cause heart attacks and hardening of the arteries, and strokes, and you know, depression, and all sorts of bad things that can happen to you. Stress causes cortisone buildup in the body, and if there's too much of that over an extended period of time, you harden your arteries, dying of a heart attack because of these guys. Are these guys worth your life? No, they're not. But because people are in fear, they unfortunately get stuck in these abusive relationships, and they don't think they can get out. And if you're working for a slave driver or you're one of these abusive businesses and they use management by intimidation, you really ought to look for somewhere else to work, which doesn't have this sort of atmosphere. This is a terrible atmosphere. You really shouldn't stay in it too long. Now, maybe you can get that job, maybe you can't. Maybe you're stuck there. But see what you can do to try to get out of a place like this. Maybe there's another place that doesn't have this sort of philosophy. Hopefully there is. So what else do they do? How do you put people in fear, create stress? Well, you can criticize people. You don't praise them, because if you praise somebody, a worker, they have confidence that they're doing a good job and that you like them. They're less likely to be afraid that you're going to fire them. So don't praise them. Criticize them instead. People don't like to be criticized. You criticize them, on a fairly regular basis, and they're going to be fearful and intimidated, generally speaking, and you make them feel worthless, and you give them low self-esteem, and those sorts of people stay in abusive relationships, which is exactly what these guys are looking for. People who have lower self-esteem that can be pushed around and do things that fairly they shouldn't be asked to do, or they should be paid a heck of a lot more for doing it. But that's not what these guys are looking for. So they want people who put up with this abuse and who will do what they want and essentially give their entire life to these guys. And at some point in time, these guys are just going to get rid of them because they don't care. Ultimately, they don't care about their employees. There's no loyalty from a management, especially in this where they're using management by intimidation. There's no loyalty at all to employees. And loyalty is a reciprocal relationship. You're loyal to me, I'm loyal to you. Well, if these guys aren't loyal to you, you shouldn't be loyal to them. They don't deserve it. Period. They'll expect you to be loyal to them because that's just another thing they want to push on you. But you shouldn't be. Don't be loyal to them. Period. If your employer is not loyal to you, don't be loyal to them. They don't deserve it. What else can they do to intimidate people? They micromanage people. They're always checking everything you do. It's like they're right behind your back, looking over your shoulder constantly. A lot of these managers, they don't really work. They think their job is just to, check everything you're doing or criticize you or, threaten you. Just to crack that whip. They think they're whip crackers. That's all they do. And it's actually, for them, it's easier just to criticize people and crack the whip all day than is it to actually do work. So a lot of these guys have an incentive to do this because otherwise they'd actually have to do harder work, and they don't want to do that because they're lazy. So they'd rather just crack the whip. That's easy. Crack the whip a couple times, you know. The rowers keep rowing. You just sit back in the back of the boat watching the rowers. You know, every once in a while the rowers slow down a little bit. You crack the whip again. They start going in fast. Your only job is to crack the whip. That's easy. That's an easy job. The guy at the back of the Viking warship has got a real easy job. You know, to create stress, fear, they may hold back on raises and benefits. Which they want to do anyway because it makes more money for them. Unless they have to pay you benefits or raises, the more money they make. And they don't feel as if you deserve a fair wage, or their idea of fair is ridiculously low. And they think, well, you know, I don't have to give you more, so I'm not going to. That's this kind of mentality. These people, they're not looking out for you at all. They're looking out for themselves. And they're more likely to say to you, look, if you don't like it, go somewhere else. These are cold people. These are not nice people. But that's the truth. You may end up working for people like this. You know, they try to get employees to do work of other employees. Maybe employees that they got rid of. You know, they're always trying to get you to do more than just one person's job. It's always trying to double your workload or triple your workload, make you do work of 3 people if they can get away with it. It's all about the bottom line. They make more money if you do that. If you're so abused and think so little of yourself, you put up with that, and that's what you end up doing. And they're like, oh, great, because these guys think their job is to constantly squeeze the employees, squeeze them, constantly squeeze them, get every penny out of them, every hour and ounce of labor we can, because that's more money for them. You know, these are that's not nice, not moral, not right, not kind, not Christian. It's evil, but you're going to run into these people, especially in the private sector. You will. Other things they might do include, convincing you it's all about them, not about you. You're just a low nothing on the totem pole. You have to pay attention to these guys, do everything these guys say when they say you do it. Again, belittling you, trying to make you feel like you're worthless. They may demoralize employees any way they can because they want them having low self-esteem so that they put up with all this abuse and they work harder. Try to convince you that the job is everything, the profession is everything. It's okay to have a profession or a vocation in life or have a passion for business, but it should never be your number one priority. A better priority would clearly be your family, your wife, your kids. That's a much more important priority than money. Nobody puts on their tombstone, they worked 24/7 at XYZ business, and that's a really sad person who thinks that life is all about business. It's not. If you think life is all about business, you think life is all about money. And life is not all about money. Money can be extremely helpful in allowing you to do things in life that you might want to do. But it's not the most important thing in life. You can't take it with you, as they say. You can't take it with you. Don't be obsessed with money. It's important, but it's not the most important thing. And consequently, business is not the most important thing in life. If you think it is, I feel sorry for you. You're going to miss out on a lot in life. A lot of good things. These guys may belittle competitors, other companies that maybe they have better environments and they're not abusive like these guys are, but they want to make you think that they are, so you don't go over there, so you don't jump ship. Um, that's another problem. These guys that with this management style, it creates a lot of stress and fear, and some employees do jump ship. So that's one of the costs for doing business like that. You get a lot of turnover. A lot of employees have more self-respect for themselves. They're just not going to take it, and they just go somewhere else that's better. They probably end up getting paid more too. Um, they may pressure you into not taking vacation time with your wife and family. That's not good for your personal life. Uh, push you into taking lesser health benefits. In a perfect world, these guys would have you work for free. They really would. If they could get away with that, they would do that. That's how little they think of employees. Um, they probably aren't going to share the wealth with you. These guys, these are not the sort of people that act as mentors or share the wealth or are looking out for your career and want to help you maybe in your own endeavors. Selfless people, less selfish people. Um, these people are not looking out for you. If they're using management by intimidation, these people are selfish, self-absorbed, and they're never going to teach you anything useful for you. They'll teach you things that's useful for them, for them to make more money. But if it's really going to help you, forget it. They have no interest in doing that. How does that benefit them? How does that make them more money? So they're not going to do it. All right, so these guys are going to look for every method and means of putting stress, fear, and intimidation into the brains of their employees. And I'm sure there's lots of other ways that I haven't touched upon, in ways that they can do that. But that being said, you also have to understand that, employees in this sort of environment, they do take countermeasures against these sort of bad managers and supervisors. There are things that they can do to get back at these guys, and they do it. They'll undermine it. They may not say it out loud, because if they say something out loud and criticize the management out loud, these guys are going to fire them, and they'll be out the door the next day. So they're not going to say anything out loud. But they will undermine them, but in ways that they can't get caught, or ways that these guys never find out that they're doing that. So, there's all sorts of ways that they may undermine a company with bad managers, bad owners, bad supervisors. One thing they could do is they could start a union in that company. That does happen, and if they're motivated because they don't like this sort of behavior, they may very well start a union in this company. But let's say it doesn't go that far. Maybe because the company's not big enough to even have a union in it. There's other things they can do. The employees, they can badmouth their bosses and supervisors and owners, inside and outside of work, through the grapevine. And some of the things they say, maybe they're true, maybe they're not. Who knows? But bad mouthing is a big thing they can do with these guys. They can pretend they're working when they're really not. They can be at their desk shuffling papers around, making it look like they're working. But in truth, they're not. They're not working very hard, because they know what's up with these guys, and these guys don't care about them. It's all about them making money, and they're just like, why am I going to work hard for these? I know I got to look like I'm working hard to keep my job with these guys, but I don't actually have to work hard. I can look like I'm working hard. So you get a lot of that. Some of these employees might just get fed up and say, it's better to be one of these guys. So I'm going to join management. I'm going to be a supervisor, so I get an easier job just whipping people. Psh, psh. That's an extreme. The other employees, I'm sure, aren't happy about that. But that's something employees can do in reaction to this. Some employees, when they have management like this, mean management, they may they may file lawsuits against these guys for, let's say, discrimination, or they may go out and get a doctor to declare that they have some sort of disability, and then let these guys know, or the HR knows, so that they say, look, you guys have to accommodate my disability, and if they don't do it, they turn around and they sue these guys. These guys are constantly getting sued, and they deserve it. They absolutely deserve it. They may be shocked that that happens because they're all about themselves. They don't understand that other people can hit them back, and they may get lawsuits filed against them, or their companies get sued because of these guys. There may be an internal complaint procedure inside these companies, and these employees start filing complaints against their supervisors or bosses or whatever. These employees, they may not be able to do anything against these guys inside the company, but they'll get them. They'll find some way to get back at them in these guys' personal lives or outside the company setting. There are all kinds of creative ways that employees can get back at managers and supervisors and owners outside the office and in their personal lives, and they may be motivated to do that. Some of these employees may seek a transfer to some other department, so they don't have to work with some supervisor who's extremely abusive, who manages by intimidation. So you may get turned around inside a particular department. If there's a supervisor in charge of a department, let's say there's like 20 people in the department, and they manage by intimidation, those 20 workers are not going to like this person. And they may basically ostracize this boss and not act nicely to them or cordially, and use social group pressure to get back at that supervisor. And that it's not going to be nice for that supervisor in that work environment. They're going to make it hard for them. And they deserve it. The supervisor may think, I'm just doing my job. Don't complain that I'm whipping you. Well, the truth is, that's not how you manage people. And I don't care who told you that that's how you manage people. That is not how you manage people. That's wrong. So that supervisor deserves what they get. The employees may engage in a work slowdown. They may all agree, you know what? These guys aren't treating us right, so we're just not we're going to slow everything down a little bit, or maybe we're going to each of us is going to take a lot of vacation time or sick days or administrative days or something like that. Maybe at the most inopportune moments for these guys, we're just not going to be there. We're not going to watch. We don't have their back because they don't have our back. We don't have their back. And we're going to make life tougher on them to the extent we can. The employees can badmouth the bosses or the supervisors who engage in this sort of intimidating practice by badmouthing them to clients and customers. And these guys may not even know that happens. They can figure out all sorts of ways to hurt these guys' businesses because these employees may have direct access to customers and clients. Some client calls up and says, "Yo, this is the president of Acme Paperclip Company. Can I speak to Mr. Boss?" And the employee's like, "Oh, can I? He's not here right now. I'll just take a message. Can you give me your name and phone number, and I'll tell him to give you a call right back." Okay, click. And then the abused employee never gives him the message. Never gives Mr. Boss the message. Mr. Boss loses out on $1 million client. He never knows it happened because one of these abused workers doesn't have Mr. Boss's back. Period. Doesn't care. So these guys, this sort of management by intimidation style can be very expensive for the business, unbeknownst to them, because they can lose a lot of business because Their employees are not happy with that. Employees can be a great source of referrals for clients and business for the company. And if the employees are not happy with you, with your business, they're not going to help you. Don't think they will, because they're not. They don't like you. People don't help people that they don't like. They just don't. They may give you lip service like, oh, yeah, I do that. If I find out about business, I'll tell you. But they're lying to your face. They don't like you. They're not going to give it to you. Bad business practice doesn't help the business. Yeah, they make more money by abusing people, but they could also be losing a lot of money. Not to mention their reputation, in the area among potential future employees. They find out, I don't want to work there because I've heard it's a bad place to work. They could lose out on a lot of talent because people just don't want to go there. They're afraid of working there. They know what these guys are like. This sort of management stuff can really hurt a business. Maybe some of the employees are like, they know some troublemakers, and they say, hey, why don't you work for this firm? You work for this company. And they're hoping that, they may even refer these people to this company for a job. And they're hoping they give them the job because they know that this person's going to cause them problems. That's another way to get back at these guys. The employees can quit. Big turnaround. They don't like this, they quit. There's all sorts of creative ways that employees can figure out how to get back at abusive managers who manage by intimidation. I certainly haven't listed all the ways that it can be done, but they'll do it. Rest assured, you engage in management by intimidation and your employees don't like you, they're going to figure out ways, all sorts of creative ways to undermine you. I mean, think about it. Do you really want to do that? Do you really want to be such a nasty person that nobody likes? Is that how you want to go on in life? Being that sort of person? Just for the money? Just for the money? You can't take this with you. This is your highest priority in life. If you're being a nasty, mean person just for the money, I feel sorry for you. I mean, haven't you ever read A Christmas Carol? I mean, you're like Ebenezer Scrooge. That's who you are. Nobody liked that guy, until he reformed and became a nicer person. Up to that point, they hated him. Is that how you want to go through life, being that kind of manager or owner? Some of these guys are like, yeah, I don't care. I make more money. That's all I care about. Just the money. You're a sad person. You shouldn't be managing that way or telling your supervisors or your managers to manage by intimidation. This is just wrong. It's for people who don't know what they're doing, poor managers, just not nice people. That's about all I have to say about management by intimidation. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below, and I'll address them in a future video, or maybe I'll address the question in the comments below. And press the subscribe button. Unless you're one of these people who manages by intimidation, then, I don't want you to press the subscribe button until you reform yourself. All right. Take care, guys.